Bloomberg, and Apple. If you'd like to apply for over $50,000 of cash and prizes every episode, go ahead, email me in my bio there, david@dmeltzer.com. We'd love to have you on season 4. We got great reach with Apple and Bloomberg, and watch it. It's on Apple TV and Bloomberg. So anyway, make sure you put your Q&A in. Pitching to me is the most essential part of life. And because pitching is sharing a vision, and you need to learn to share a vision, and the best pitches have certain components through the years. Amelia was actually on my very first TV show that I executive produced and was a host with Amelia, called Elevator Pitch, which I'm still an executive producer of, but it's in season 8 now. But Amelia was one of the best judges for her insight on pitching as well. She's an extraordinary pitch perfect person. But put your Q&A in there. I'll get to it. I want to welcome everyone. So Jake, I'm going to get started. Let's talk about the pitch. The first thing in pitching is one that's often overlooked, but it's the most essential. And I talk about it all the time, and it's called the truth. The perfect pitch is the closest to the truth as possible. And the reason is that when we stray from the truth in our pitching, when we stray from the truth in the features and benefits and capabilities, when we stray from the truth in our articulation of the quantitative value, we then lead the listener into skepticism, voids, shortages, obstacles, into a mindset of resistance instead of open-mindedness, open-heartedness, and open-handedness. It's not just what we do, say, think, and believe. It's that true feeling, as you'll find out, that helps us align this vision with others. So what I want you to do is to, from this day forth, practice being truthful. Practice spending minutes and moments in the manipulation, overselling, back-end selling, lying, cheating that occurs every day in the human nature, in the aspect of the ego, but practice telling the truth. Practice catching yourself when you're exaggerating. Everything with a fine-tooth comb of how close to your highest self you can live, how close to the higher self you can do, say, think, believe, and feel. And when we look at things through a lens of credibility, and I'm talking a fine-tooth comb lens of credibility. So if you say things like, oh, our revenue's up 300%, think to yourself, is that the most credible thing to say? Because I did $3 of revenue last year and I'm doing $9 of revenue this year. Yes, it's truthful that my revenue is up 300%, but it is misleading. It's overselling. It's a little bit of back-end selling. There's a variety of things. And even if I'm telling the truth, it may put someone's mindset or perspective or give meaning to my pitch that I don't want, which is, what else is he clouding? What else is he or she straying from in the truth? And that is not where we want to share our vision. We do not want to have skepticism and resistance in what we're saying. We want that free flowing of what we do say, think, believe, and feel to come through at its highest level. So I want everyone to readjust their credibility thermometer, their credibility barometer, and make sure that we are very careful in practicing credibility. Speaking of practice, this is a skill. You know, if you play golf, you got to swing the golf club if you want to hit the ball, and you have to be credible and practice credibility in all the different steps that we have to take in order to be credible. So make sure that you're looking in the mirror, you're taping yourself, you're practicing pitching friends, families, and other people that can give you honest feedback, and ask for that feedback, especially where am I not credible in what I'm saying. So make sure that we do that. I tell people all the time, you know, they'll say, oh, I'm too nervous to speak. And I'll say, well, come on stage and clap once and leave. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, if you can come on stage without being nervous and clap once, would you be nervous? And they're like, no, not at all. I'd love to come on stage and clap once. Terrific. Then get to the point with your pitch or your speech that it's the same comfortable flowing confidence that you have if I just asked you to clap once and walk away. When you reach that clap standard, you will know that you're ready to pitch. Number one rule of the perfect pitch, which by the way, some people have said that it's like drinking through a fire hose, my trainings, and I go through things too quickly and there's no time. Just I'll send you the exercise and guide in the replay so you can go ahead and learn this. It'll take, even if I talk this slow as a turtle, you're not going to get this the first time. So we want to make sure if you want that guide on the perfect pitch guide that you get that from me. It's free. I'll email to you, david@dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. So number one, credibility, fine tooth comb of truth. I should call it the fine truth comb. All right. Anyway, number two, the second component of a perfect pitch is the emotional side of it. We have to understand that people buy on emotion for logical reasons, right? We buy on emotion for logical reasons. So we have to make sure that we understand the energy and motion, that feeling that we're talking about. People remember how they felt about your pitch more than what you say. People remember how they feel about this training more than what I say. And so we have to be cognizant of how can I create an emotional attachment? And I will tell you, when we are speaking of in a pitch or asking questions of what people like and don't like, this is where the emotional aspect comes in. We also can utilize humor. I prefer to get to the quantitative. What do you like about what you're doing today? What don't you like about what you're doing today? What do you like about what I'm talking about? What don't you like about what I'm talking about? What do people like about what I'm talking about? What do people don't like what I'm talking about? And would it help you if? And then providing that quantitative value with would it help you if? If you do not have an emotional connection with those who are you trying to share a vision with, you will not be able to share the energy and motion and you will not succeed. It's that simple. People talk about trust and like, that's an emotion. Trust is an emotion, like is an emotion. We get there by being more interested than interesting. We don't get there by overselling, back-end selling, lie manipulating, cheating, yelling. It doesn't work. We want people to understand electronic, vibrational frequency that's connected to them that makes them feel as if this has quantitative value. We can practice as well the emotional aspect by utilizing open-ended questions in our daily lives, utilizing open-ended questions about what do you do, what do you like and what you don't like, and would it help you if. Get down those three different questions and your life will change. It'll be the precept to being more interested than interesting. One of my goals and brands is to be the world's most interested man, not the world's most interesting. I know the Dos Equis guys has that captured anyway. Be more interested, my friends, right? Ask open-ended questions to find out where that service and value is, but also to create an emotional connection to someone to find out what they like or don't like. Furthermore, the third step of a perfect pitch is to be able to articulate, that means to speak of, the quantitative value of what you're pitching, product, service, or solution, yourself, whatever it may be. You have to be able to articulate this quantitative value. And in order to articulate quantitative value, it takes an extraordinary amount of thought and practice, because we want to think about what are the reasons economically, what are the reasons mathematically that will exceed what I'm asking for? What are the quantitative reasons of the product, service, or solution that I'm talking about that will exceed what I'm asking for? Because that's where the statistical success of a pitch comes in, is that if we are credible, and remember, if I'm 100% credible, you'll do whatever I say. If I have an emotional attachment that creates the trust and like, then if I'm well rehearsed in the practice of the math, of the quantitative value to exceed what I'm asking for, statistically, the person can see no reason why they wouldn't want to move forward. And the articulation of that quantitative value needs a lot of understanding of the circumstances and situation, because we have to understand three things: time, because time will be the mathematical man-made construct that allows us to put a dollar and cents valuation to the reasons in which somebody should share this vision or quantitatively invest in what we are doing, which that investment should have the confidence, the credibility, and emotional attachment to be less than what they're going to receive. Because if it is, they won't be able to see any reason they wouldn't want to move forward. And in order to do that, we have to reconcile time with value and the emotions. And to quantify and articulate the quantification, we have to address all of the math and its relationship to time, value, and emotion. Why? Because in the end, whether someone does it up front or in the back end, the analysis of what they have in a perfect pitch is, does it align with, is it synergistic with, is it even supplementary to my timing and risk tolerance? And if we inherently can align what we're doing through the articulation of the quantitative value, then we're going to have a statistical success far greater than those that are just using overselling, back end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating as their forefront in selling or sharing a vision or pitching. In order to be effective within alignment of credibility, emotional attachment, we have to do the mathematical work based on time, value, and emotion that allows us to create a number that we could ask for, or a value that we could ask for that exceeds what we're asking for. If we haven't accomplished that, we will not have statistical success in a pitch. So we need to make sure that these three things, the credibility, the emotional attachment, and the quantification, the articulation of that quantification, is effective in sharing a vision. Now, most people will say when we share a vision that we're done, or a lot of people say you're 80% done when someone says, yes, I'd like to move forward. But how many yeses, I'd like to move forward, actually result in payment? Well, first of all, it's been my experience that 20% of the entire pitch process is selling, 80% is collecting. So we're already at a statistical disadvantage when we think that somehow when we share a vision in the third step of pitching, to be able to articulate a quantitative value to exceed what we're asking for and get a confirmation of that value with a shared vision of, yes, I'd like to move forward, that we're only 20% done. Absolutely, we're only 20% done, because the majority of the work in pitching is now to reconcile the shared vision by managing and developing that vision. And in that pitch, we need to manage and develop the vision, and we do that through a 5-step process. And it's utilizing the ability to stimulate the interest of that vision and transition it to this shared vision. But more importantly, we need to create a plan of execution in the pitch. We have to take them beyond where we're at in the perfect pitch to manage and develop and let themselves see where they're at and how it applies specifically to them. In order to do so, in that pitch, we need to take the quantifiable value and ask the application in their perfect circumstance. And I use certain strategies in that pitch in order to effectuate managing and developing the vision, by seeing and doing research, by being more interested than interesting, to know who we're pitching to understand the spectrum of what those values are. So many times we go into a situation and we are just happy to have a pitch, and we don't realize the power of a no, so that we can ask for the greater good, which is, do you know anyone that can help me? One of the key things while we are pitching is to read the person, to understand, and how many times do we pitch and the person says to us, I love this. This is great. That's the worst thing I can hear. when I'm pitching, because I know that there's no way that in the short amount of time, especially 2 minutes or 1 minute in a shorter pitch, that someone would love this. I'm in trouble. If they challenge me, if they ask me questions, if I have to manage and develop that vision within the context of their particular situation, the success that I have is exponential, because I know that they're thinking about how they can apply it through managing and developing the vision to their own particular circumstance, either financially, emotionally, or some sort of power sponsorship of somebody else that they know. So make sure that we're managing and developing a vision while we're pitching, to get a read on body movement by comments and questions in order to figure out the credibility, emotional attachment, and vision that we've been able to share. One of the other aspects of asking questions or managing and developing a vision in a pitch, is we understand how they hear us. So many times, it's not what we say, it's what we hear. That's my favorite Lou Holtz quote, the Notre Dame coach. And we think the whole room, it's kind of like, understands what we're talking about. And it's so funny because so many times you'll take a test and think you aced it. And that's when you're in the most trouble, because you didn't know what you didn't know, in order to miss this. Is when you're worried about a test sometimes because you know so much about the subject matter, that you do very well. I think the same holds true in pitching, and understanding, that credibility, the emotional attachment, um, as well as being able to articulate the quantitative value, allow you to manage and develop that vision to have the impact that it has. So, the first step is credibility. The second step is emotional attachment. The third step is, of course, that articulation of quantitative value, the reasons. The fourth step is impact. More than ever today, when we're pitching, you have to show this impact. And if you're not managing to develop that vision, you cannot find the impact in what you're doing. So many people today want to know how this impacts them or others. And if you can't show that purpose or cause tied into your pitch, you are decreasing the efficiency of the pitch, one, to the statistical success of it. So make sure that the impact that you have is aligned with the quantitative value, the reasons that we have, and the emotional aspect and the credibility, the fine-tooth comb of truth. Impact today can be within the context of global impact. It could be in a local community impact, or it could be in a personal impact. But your pitch must have impact. And that impact today has risen as far as its importance because of our cultural changes, because of our own elevation of frequency or awareness and enlightenment. Finally, the fifth step is the capability step, is the features and benefits. So many people pitch only on features and benefits. If you're pitching on features and benefits, you're a lost cause. You are absolutely right on. You are absolutely, go ahead and mute that for a second. You're absolutely playing with fire in the realm of overselling, back end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating. If all you're doing is pitching features and benefits with no alignment, no credibility, emotional attachment, quantitative reasons articulated correctly, as well as impact, those features and benefits, which, believe it or not, the majority of the people do, which is sell on features and benefits, just go into a lot of people who sell insurance or cars, realtors. A lot of times, all they're doing is selling features and benefits. I was with a guy named Josh Flagg, who's on the $1 Million Listing, and it was so interesting because he actually uses features and benefits as a concern, as an arsenal to build his credibility, to build the emotional attachment, to allow him to articulate the quantitative value. So what he'll do when he's selling these multi-million-dollar listings is he actually will use the features and benefits that are bad or dangerous about a house. So he'll point out, I really don't like this bathroom. Look at the water damage over here. Look at the uneven this. And by using features and benefits to add credibility that He's not selling, he's not overselling, he's not back end selling, but instead, he's using features and benefits to build credibility by pointing out the truth. He's also has an emotional attachment that they're being protected by him. He's also then capable of quantifying, articulating the value that although there's the cracks in the cement, it still holds this value and you can repair it for this much. And he's using these features and benefits, the negative features and benefits, the dangerous features and benefits, to infuse all of the components of a pitch. That's the purpose of capabilities. You don't have to point out all the bad things about or illuminate all the bad things about your product, service, or solution or what you're selling, but you can illuminate them and utilize them as an arsenal, positive and negative features and benefits. Use it as an arsenal to infuse value into the credibility, to draw in more emotional attachment, to talk about the quantified value or articulate the quantifiable value, the dollars, time, value, and emotion that's created so that it exceeds what they're asking for, what you're going to offer, and then show that impact. This, for example, in the real estate situation, is the most important economic decision of most people's lives, buying a house. But do not sell on features and benefits and capabilities. You will run the danger of ruining a sale through the identification of overselling, back-end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating. If you pitch and practice each of these, so credibility, emotional attachment, quantify reasons, impacts, and capabilities, if you practice this, you will be on a journey. And people ask me all the time, Dave, do you still practice, your pitch? Yeah, almost every day. Almost every day I'm practicing my pitch. I'm looking at these 5 things and like, why are you practicing? I'm like, well, because I'm, just starting to get good. You will expand and grow on one of the most important things that we can do. And what I love about 2-Minute Drill, the show that we have, it's not just pitching a product. It's not just pitching a solution or service. It's also can be pitching your 5-year-old to eat broccoli, right? We're looking at, and you can win $50,000 of cash and prizes simply for being a great pitcher of whatever idea, whether it's real or not, whatever it is. If you're able to hold these components and others, and we've had some, extraordinary pitches of things that you would probably never invest in. One of the reasons that I created the pitch side of it is that all of the great shows, the great entertaining shows, like Elevator Pitch, like Dragon's Den, like Shark Tank, the funding side of what we're teaching on these TV shows, including me, is not realistic, right? There's no way that people are giving money off of the pitch without doing due diligence to check what? The credibility, to regulate the emotional attachment, to verify the quantitative value that's been articulated, to enhance or decrease the impact, and to understand the features and benefits as they have infused more value into each of these components. So the funding side of it requires much more work kind of in that managing and developing of a vision from when we get a shared vision at the end of a pitch, right? The objective of a pitch is to share a vision. The objective of funding is to verify that vision, that it's going to make more money than we invest. And we can't do that on a TV show. The majority of people, even that have successful yeses, we talk about that 20-80 rule, that holds about true on TV as well. When you're done pitching and you share a vision, you're only 20% of the way there. Even on the TV show, even if someone says, yeah, we'll fund you, we'll give you $2 million for 30% of your company, like they do on many of the TV shows. Well, guess what? Only 20% of those people or so are successful. Why? Because it doesn't vet out. It doesn't match up. And then we lose all credibility, or the circumstances, time, value, or emotions change. And it goes on both sides. I have had people pitch on my other show where we do fund you, tell us, after we have a deal, oh, sorry, my board didn't accept it. The valuation's way off. We can't take a down round, or this was just for exposure and branding and entertainment. It goes on both sides. So there's nothing wrong with those TV shows and the lessons that can be learned, maybe on the pitch side, but the valuation and funding, managing, developing a vision takes much longer. You need a go, no go plan. You have a variety of things that need to be done. So I like creating a pitch show and allowing people to pitch whatever they want. So even if you don't have a business, if you just want to learn how to pitch, if you just want to go ahead and get and win prizes and cash, come on the show. Let's learn how to get 5-year-olds to eat broccoli, or pitch a podcast or a TV idea or something else. We love to see it, and people can learn so much from that. Just to finish up this end, and then we're going to take some Q&A. So make sure you put the Q&A in. If you want the perfect pitch guide, I will go through this. You can have the replay tied into a guide and go ahead and really learn and practice every day. Number one, that fine-tooth comb of truth called credibility, the most prioritized thing in a pitch to make sure, like I said, if you're 100% credible, you will be 100% successful. 2, emotional attachment. People buy on emotion for logical reasons. I'll give you that templated, open-ended questions of what people like, don't like, and would it help you if finding out if people are sponsors or power sponsors. Emotional attachment is crucial. 3, the quantitative, the hardest part, articulating quantitative value. I have a reasons, impacts, and capabilities guide that helps to give you the questions that allow you to figure out how time is reconciled with value and emotion in order to create a number so that that number can exceed the number that you're asking for in any of those areas: time, money, or value. We need to create a number that exceeds the number you're asking for. Impact is crucially important. Understanding how and what impact people are looking for. It's just not a matter of, if you impact middle-aged white men, that may not be a big value to some people. So make sure that you understand who and what is impacted and how it's aligned with the person that you're pitching. And then finally, most importantly, the features and benefits. Do not sell on features and benefits. Features and benefits, positive features and negative features, illuminate those, are of equal value when they're utilized to infuse more credibility, more emotional attachment, a higher number, and greater impact that's aligned with the audience that you're addressing. If you have that credibility, emotional attachment, the quantifiable reasons, that number to exceed what you're asking for, the impact, and use your features and benefits, both positive and negative, to infuse time, value, and emotion in the credibility, emotional attachment, reasons, impacts, and capabilities, I promise you, you will increase exponentially your statistical success, and you will pitch and share visions to increase your statistical success in whatever you want to share. Practice, practice, practice. Get as good until it feels as if you're just clapping your hand. All right, Jakey Bakey, I'm going to take a question online. We have anybody that wants to ask a question or pitch me?
We do. I think Glenn just tried to chime in really quick as well. But
oh yeah, we can have Glenn. Let's take Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn, welcome. I was just going to say, Meltzer, this is why I say yes everything you ask me. Now I have the whole formula, bro. Now I get it.
Well, I'm just gonna tell everyone from that comment. This is actually Glenn, and that's actually David.
They would never know. They would never know. But no, for real, dude, that is a freaking masterclass right there. And we actually, Dave, we've been in the middle. Right now, I now have a salesman on the 800% auto side, as you know, and we've been, generating leads and bringing people in and having to do this a lot more often, right? These full, 30-minute kind of presentation type deals. And we are getting a lot of, oh my gosh, I love it. This is amazing. Yes, I am totally in. And then we spend the next, who knows how much time, energy, and effort trying to actually collect that credit card.
Right.
And, it's wild, man. So as you're talking through your whole thing today, I'm going, oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot about some of these things. And this is real life stuff, very, very, very practical. And I just found it really valuable myself. myself. So I just want to say thank you for bringing that to the breakfast table today. I really appreciate it.
And I appreciate you also illuminating the importance of collecting. Obviously, young Jakey Bakey does a lot of my business development as well, and he does some pretty big deals. And it's amazing. I'll ask him, "Do you ever collect that?" Right? and, and I go, "Do you even have a list of receivables? Like of stuff that you've sold and what?" Because there's so many great deals. I can't tell you how many salespeople don't even keep track. They think they're done. They're so ingrained in the sale that they forget that 80% of the effort is collecting the actual value that was promised to you. And I know from being a recovering lawyer, lawyers, accountants, doctors. So don't leave that out of the process itself, and you could even include it in a pitch of how to manage and develop from end to end a go no go plan of exactly what you're going to do if they do give you that quantifiable value that you're asking for. Hopefully, you will provide more value than you're asking for to make it statistically successful. Glenn, I also just want to report in. Obviously here on Breakfast of Champions, but Glenn and I have been developing more shows, and with our Apple TV deal, the very first show that was submitted in that group beginning of this week was a show Glenn and I are going to be doing together as well. So taking Breakfast of Champions to Apple TV and other content from Glenn Lundy is an objective of mine. I am blessed to have a distribution deal with Apple TV. So if anyone has any other ideas, I am open to that. If you want to pitch me that, I'm open to that. If you want the pitch guide, I'm open to that. But Glenn, congratulations as well on all your success. And thank you for being such a student and a mentor to me. I appreciate you.
Love you, my man. Love you, love you. Can't wait to see you very soon. And that is exciting news.
I know.
Let's go.
Breakfast of Champions on Apple TV. Anyway, looking forward to it. Jakey Bakey, I'm going to take a question online, and then hopefully someone else would like to come on, ask a question, or give me a 1 or 2 minute pitch, and then I can give you some advice on what I hear. So real time, give some people that pragmatic understanding. I'm going to take this question online. Okay, Jake?
You got it. Then when you're back, Super Mario's got a question for you. If anyone, as Dave mentioned, just back channel me, and we will aim to bring you up to ask a question or even pitch Dave. Thanks, Dave.
Awesome. Question is the framework of a truthful pitch the same in the industry, just the variable being the product or the service? It's not really a framework of truth. So this is a great question. I see truth as a objective in the fact that, like I talked about the fine tooth comb of truth. It goes beyond just factually being true. Like the 300% example that I gave. I think in the framework of a truthful pitch is how close to the truth is the pitch. How close to that light, love, and lessons. How close to no omissions, no exaggerations, no manipulations of numbers or facts, but simply illumination of what it is. And if we can take what something is close to its truth is and quantify it and articulate that quantification of value, you should be extremely successful. And so the framework, I assume, would be the same, whether it's a product, service, solution, or activity like eating broccoli. We still, in order to have the highest frequency of this connectivity, we have to clear the interference in the communication. And what interferes in our communication of value, time, and emotion is the manipulation, lying, cheating, omitting, back-end selling, overselling that occurs when we are not being truthful or utilizing the fine-tooth comb of truth. I think this, was worth reiterating to everyone because it's an area that I know very well, because too much of my sales life, I was an overseller, liar, manipulator, cheater, back-end seller, master of sales. I hit my number, but sooner or later, the truth will come out, and the void, shortages, and obstacles and resistance you go ahead and try to take a shortcut, you're going to have to go to the back of the line. Luckily, in my 30s, I went to the back of the line again, started over, and started working my best as I can to reach that pitch, that credibility that we talk about, the fine tooth comb of truth. Do I always achieve it? No, I catch myself sometimes. I'm like, why did I say that? Oh, why did I say that? That's just not true. Or why didn't I tell them this? Or, oh, I should have said that, I exaggerated this or whatever. And I spend minutes and moments, utilize forgiveness to get better the next time. And I hope we all do. But look, it's a natural ego-based consciousness to oversell or back end sell. You absolutely don't want to lie, cheat. Manipulation's a natural one as well. But they're all going to occur. We're all human beings, and we all just have to forgive ourselves and others when they do it, understanding that they have the best intention. One of the areas I talk about is when people feel guilty, I know they love me, because whatever they did and they feel guilty about, they care so much about me that it's bugging the shit out of them. And so sometimes in my relationships, people that feel guilty for not making it to this event, or lying to me, or cheating me, or manipulating me, it's the people that don't feel guilty that do that I want to fall away and fire from my life. The people that feel guilty, they actually care, and I just have to utilize forgiveness as a reflection of the truth. And if I can utilize forgiveness as the reflection of the truth, then I can go ahead and heal that relationship and move forward and help feed each other. But if somebody has, no regret or guilt, no ego-based consciousness about lying, cheating, overselling, manipulating, then I have a problem, because there's just not time for that in my life, at least. All right, Jake, you told me Super Mario Brother was here. I'd love to see if we have a question for Mario.
Super Mario, welcome to the clubhouse. If you can please unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question. Welcome, Mario.
Good morning, Super Mario here. Apologize for the sound in the background. So my question is a question of what's like a good way to learn to ask better questions to derive the truth? Because like I love what you're saying about not like lying. So I hate lying or not being upfront with my clients and customers, and I always want to present the best product and solution for them working in construction. So there's times I walk away from a job, or there's times I undersell because what they ask for is like, you don't need that. So for me, it's the value of asking better questions to pinpoint certain things that they're looking for, or what I can offer for them. Thanks.
Yeah, so I think this is a great example, Mario, and I appreciate that you are on the practice that I am, the pursuit of our potential of being truthful 100% of the time, which is my pursuit and my practice. And I'd love to hit, perfect drive 100% of the time too, but I'm not there yet in golf, and I'm certainly not there in truthfulness. But in order to effectuate the best results is to go ahead and find out the alignment between me and the person in what it is. So where we find ourselves overselling, back end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating is when we're trying to fit this round peg in a square hole. And if we're capable of, instead of overselling, back end selling, lying, manipulating, cheating, being interested, over interesting, instead of being interesting and over interesting, finding out who can help them. See, that's one of the reasons I have so many overlap agreements with people, is that it allows me to be more truthful, because I don't try to fit a round peg in a square hole. Take, for example, my coaching, especially now with the wait list I have, I really am more interested in what they're looking for in a mentor, and then going ahead and giving to the people that can best serve. And when I first started coaching, I was everything to everyone, overselling again, back end selling. I wasn't lying or manipulating, but I definitely was overselling or back end selling that, oh, I'm the best, coach for this. And meanwhile, I wanted to build my practice, and I may not have been the best. Now, it's funny that I don't have any ego-based scarce needs that, because I have too many clients, how easy it is to me to say, oh, Amelia does this so much better in the CPG space than I do. You should talk to Amelia. Or, I have a certain time restraint in what I do. Some people, want to spend a whole weekend with somebody, willing to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. But I'll tell them, I don't do that. Where I may have, worked within the context of that realm that you're talking about and said, oh yeah, I'll do that. But meanwhile, David Corbin, for example, is someone that you spend a weekend with him and it'll change your life. And that's the type of mentoring that he does. So I think it's really important to build an overlap network where you have the best of breed. So you don't always have to be the power sponsor for someone, meaning you can do it. Sometimes you can still create quantitative value by finding sponsorship and referring other people in construction or interior, case-based, crown, doors, handles. If that's not what you're best at, go find who is best at it and create a commission for yourself. The irony of this is, I have a great story. I hired these guys to do my media for the Rose Bowl. I'm blessed to sit as a board member of the Rose Bowl, and we had like Peyton Manning and all these amazing people that had played in the Pac-8, the Pac-10, and the Pac-12, which are the schools that play in the Rose Bowl. And then the Big Ten champion used to play in the Rose Bowl. So we have historically all these amazing athletes. And to that end, we were doing this video series, and I found these great video guys, and I started referring them business, and I had an overlap agreement. They would give me 20% of all the business that I brought them. And we had so much business, they came to me and said, hey, can you buy us? Because we need more resources. So I purchased the media company, and we scaled out, like immediately to so many people. And, after a year, not only did I curse myself with employees and overhead, but my margins went down to 12%. And so I literally, tried to, create this business that wasn't my core competency, instead of sticking to the methodology of finding someone that does it better than me, and just making a percentage for bringing that business, because it's cheaper or worth it to that company for marketing and sales of just a natural referral. We want to be power sponsor as much as we can, meaning we can do it and we can articulate a quantitative value to exceed what we're asking for in a truthful manner. But more importantly, it's just as important to be honest and truthful that there's somebody better. But I'm pragmatic about it. If I know someone that does it better, I want to find a finder's fee or an overlap. And those have aggregated over the years, like I've told you, into 7 and 8 figures of opportunities for me, simply by being abundant and generating that interest of finding someone that does it better than I do. And I know that's true in the construction world. So you can minus the overhead, minus the employees, and increase the margins. Hopefully that answered your question, Super Mario.
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. All right, Jake, line somebody else. We got about 15 minutes. I'm going to take a question online, if that's okay.
Yeah, perfect. We've got Monica ready when you're back here.
It's all M's today. I love it. All right. Just as a reminder, this is a perfect pitch, the perfect pitch training. We have a perfect pitch guide. Put your Q&A in here. If I don't get to you, please reach out to me. If you want the guide, the exercises, if you want to try out for the show, win $50,000 of cash and prizes, david@dmeltzer.com. If you want to watch the show, it's on Apple TV and Bloomberg on Friday nights. So check it out. All right, next question here. I like this one. What is the best book of yours that tell more about your more than enough idea? I'm going to go ahead and give you somebody else's book. I'm going to actually practice what I preach, because my Connected to Goodness will talk about the world of more than enough. But the best book that I have that tells me about this is The Go-Giver. So The Go-Giver is a book written by Bob Berg. And so Bob Berg wrote this book about the Go-Giver and explains how the world of more than enough works, how a world of value add works. understanding 5 principles that he teaches of creating value and providing service and delivering it to the many, because of exactly what we've been talking about. If you have not read or listened to The Go Giver by Bob Berg, that's where I learned the world of more than enough. That's how I write about the world of more than enough. So I'm going to put what I just taught Mario into practice. I got good information, but the best information is not my book. The best information is The Go Giver by Bob Berg. Thank you so much for that question online. All right, Monica, what do you have for me?
Good morning. I am curious if you can model for us a tight, quick example of what you outlined in those 5 bullet points of a perfect pitch so that we can hear it and see it develop in the flow that you described. Is that a possibility for us?
Yeah, I'll try to do a minute one or a 2-minute one. Okay. So I'm going to pitch people to apply and or watch the TV show 2-Minute Drill. Okay. Is that good? Will that work for you?
Yeah, man.
All right, cool. All right, so here we go. My name's David Meltzer. I'm the executive producer of a TV show that's on Bloomberg and Apple TV called The 2-Minute Drill. On that show, we bring the billionaires, millionaires, and entrepreneurs that have had huge success to host and judge anyone pitching anything and to understand and win $50,000 of cash and prizes. Not only will they win $50,000 of cash and prizes, but they will be seen by millions. Aired on Apple TV, aired on Bloomberg, Reach TV at the airports and the hotel rooms. The amplification, the post-production content that's created can be utilized for a lifetime to build that business or idea or personal brand at an unbelievable capacity. The quantitative value of being on the show can reach not only the $50,000 for being on the show, but that type of exposure, advertising, and marketing has been valued for over $1 million. And all you need to do to apply for the show is simply provide a 1-minute video of a practice pitch. Utilizing any methodologies and ideas that you have, you can pitch anything from your business idea to an established billion-dollar business to having your child eat broccoli. The impact that it has on your life will be astronomical. It can change your life. We have funded, gotten exposure to funding a business in the hundreds now of millions of dollars. And we have also been able to change lives and impact people around the world as you can participate virtually. Finally, the show is hosted at a studio in Costa Mesa with the best director, producers, and staff at a state-of-the-art studio that will provide you the best content and put you and your ideas in the best light. We'd love to have you apply for the show. And if not, if you have nothing to pitch, we'd love your support if you or if you knew someone else that would like to watch the show. It's on Friday night on Bloomberg, of course, every night on Apple TV. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Can you see any reason you wouldn't want to apply or watch the show? And so that's an unrehearsed practice pitch that went through credibility, emotional attachment, quantification of the reasons. Now, impromptu, it's breaking rule number 1, which is practice, 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 practice. But I've practiced pitching and listened to so many pitches. Hopefully, it was an example, at least, of the 5 criteria. Was there something that you have a question from what I did or why I did it?
Thank you so much, first of all, for doing that on the fly. That was great. What I notice, I don't have a question, which is amazing, but what I notice is that when I'm listening to that, when I was listening to you, it unfolded in a way that made perfect sense and led me down a road. And that is exactly what you want. That's why you put the bullet points in that order, is because it makes sense to our brains. And by the time you get to features and benefits, I'm already bought in, as opposed to starting with features and benefits because you haven't paved the way yet in order for me to be able to hear those and not be distracted by them. Brilliant and masterful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And that's why credibility is so important up front, right? Because the closer once you say, I produced Jerry Maguire Any Given Sunday, For the Love of the Game, Arliss, all of these great films, and people love those films because they're love stories in the backdrop of sports. And we were able to, for $20 million, develop a movie that still makes over $20 million today. And it's impacted so many people, not only just wanting to be sports agents, but also people to change the way they look at their own businesses, to give back, to have a higher purpose, even in the slimy, scummy business of agentry. And if you give me my $20 million a day for my next movie, I am sure that you and I, through the best directors, executive actors like Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger, that will make over $1 billion. Can you see any reason why you wouldn't want to invest in my movie? See, that's the story, no matter what you do it in. Now, there's something obviously that I had a better handle on that I could articulate, but it was the same exact thing in about 30 seconds. But with the credibility up front, listing out all the movies that I've already done and the money that's already been made, it helps out a lot compared to somebody that you've never heard of. And you say, well, this is my first film, and I really think this, and I think we could do this. And this is what I hear a lot with pitches. Credibility, and look, you don't have to have the huge film credibility, but you need to have credibility. I went to USC Film School where I developed this, and this, and this is why I'm ready, or whatever the story may be, to provide that quantitative value. So thank you so much for pointing out how important the flow of those points are, because they build on one another to come to a logical conclusion, which is, can you see any reason you wouldn't want to apply for 2 Minute Drill? Can you see any reason you wouldn't want to watch at the very least 2 Minute Drill? And if not, do you know anyone that would like to? Please let them email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'd love for them to apply, or love for them to watch if it's not your cup of tea. All right, Annika, thank you. Jake, I'm going to take a quick question online, then we'll finish with the last question there and here on the Breakfast of Champions. Is that cool?
That is great. I've actually, when you get back, I've got a question on TikTok. When you get back, unless you want me to do it now, whatever works for you.
Okay, do the question on TikTok then.
Amazing. All right. This is from Forever Not Fair. The question is, opinions on running a business with your friends and or your family.
It's a lot more fun and a lot more difficult to run a business with your friends and family. But in order to run any business, you have to utilize the same criteria. If your friends and family are aligned with your values, if we have our rules and responsibilities clearly defined, then whether they're friends or family is not going to matter. What happens is, in a partnership, even if it's a partner that isn't a friend or a family, eventually our partner becomes our friend or our family. And so we end up in the same place as we would. So for me, it's always alignment of values, personal values, experiential values, giving values, productivity values, and receiving values. And the closer I'm aligned with those values, the difficulties that exist between friends and family initially is you have snapshots and baggage. And so that, with those snapshots and baggage comes unrealistic expectations of thinking of you in either too high of a fashion or too low of a fashion. For example, if I was doing with my mom, the difficulty that I would have was my mom thinks too highly of me. And she has many snapshots and personalities traits that would cause interference between our relationship to be productive, accessible, and gracious to each other in the context of business. Whereas, probably my siblings, because they're more realistic and they know everything about me and all the shitty things I did to them when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 28, 38, they probably would have too difficult of a time because they think too lowly of me. And somewhere in between, they have benefits of trust, but also the negative. So I think going in with the awareness of values and the effective communication, which is critical, in the illumination of those issues. I've seen and have been jealous of, some great family businesses, but they come with extra difficulties, but they come with extra benefits. And if those extra difficulties and benefits are aligned with each other, you'll have no problems. I do have, no matter if it's friends or family, my golden rule of a partnership, the 3 rules. Number 1, never go into a partnership. 2, if you go into a partnership, make sure your partner has more money than you. 3, if you don't listen to the rule number 1 or rule number 2, go back to rule number 1. All right. Anyway, that's one of my dad's piece of advice to me, which I like, but I think you get the idea. Friends and family are terrific. Number 1, partners that you take on will soon, especially if they're aligned with your values, become family or friends. And 2, the going right into business with family and friends have exceptional benefits and exceptional detriment. Just make sure your values are aligned and you communicate effectively, and illuminate those difficulties and benefits that are accrued by the snapshots experience of an historical relationship, one that's most relative to us, like being a family member or a friend. All right, Jake, I will take, you have someone live there? You want me to take one online?
Let's see, Jacqueline, are you here? Do you want to ask a quick question?
Yes, I am.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi there. Dave, thank you for taking my question. The question is related to my mother is currently 93 years old, living in her own home. She sold her farm to be able to live and remain in her own home, and we have caregivers taking care of her. Problem is, her own personal bed is too large and does not allow the caregivers to work from both sides. So we have purchased a hospital bed for her at the age of 93, alert and orientated, COVID survivor. She does not want to leave her personal bed and a hospital bed brought in. Caregivers are verbalizing, we can no longer do this. We could injure ourselves. And the family, we agree with the caregivers. Actually, I'm a nurse, been a nurse for 40 plus years. She needs the hospital bed. The crew is set up to make the move tomorrow. I live in Missouri. I'm driving to Iowa to be with my mom for the weekend. I don't want to be the bad person to, have the move occur while I'm there. But what strategies can our family use to help convince my mom?
Well, first of all, you're not going to convince your mom. Just like your mom didn't convince you when you were 16 years old and you were dating some jerk. And she was telling you, don't go out with this guy, he's a jerk. So people have to learn for themselves in these situations. And we cannot re-engineer a vision in that case, right? Because why? She has a closed mind, just like a 16, I have 16, well, I have 18, 20, and 22-year-old daughters. I know when they have a closed mind about something, and I know that it will take at least 1,000 times the energy in order to effectuate re-engineering that. So instead of trying to convince her that this is a good thing, you are going to have to be a parent, and you are going to have to make the decision for her, and you are going to work on opening her mind to the fact that in certain situations that her caregiving exceeds the value of the comfort and familiarity of lying in the said bed for maybe 30 or 40 years or however long she's been in that big bed. And you appreciate where she is. You will meet her where she's at, understanding and totally empathizing, just like we would with a daughter dating the wrong guy, who she's not going to listen to me, what's going to happen. But we are going to go ahead and quantifiably articulate that the value of being able to care for her exceeds the comfort of there. And regardless of whether she likes it or not, this is going to be done. And that you can only appreciate that you love her so much that you have to value her care over her comfort. And that's as simple as it gets. And you're going to have to feel guilty as short as amount of time as possible and forgive yourself, just like she forgave herself for being a parent to you. You need to look out what's best for her. And do not worry about being the bad guy. Do not worry about feeling bad. Feeling bad never makes someone feel good. But go ahead and articulate the quantitative value effectively and give her the reasons why, the impact and the capabilities of the small bed over the big bed. I promise you, you already hold credibility and emotional connection to your mom. So when you stick to the 3 last components of the pitch to quantify the reasons that you're doing it, there's a huge impact as well. And there are capabilities that are necessary. You will be forgiven in a very short amount of time. But this is not something that you're going to change her mind or convince her of. You're just going to do this and then utilize the pitch to accelerate the forgiveness that will occur. Does that sound fair?
That sounds really fair. Yes, because I call her every day. She's always asking, when can you come home? When are you going to be here? Because when I'm there, we make homemade cookies and things together.
Four things real quick. I hate to break you up. So Jacqueline, I apologize, but I going over and Glenn's, he kicks my ass if I go over. So I apologize, Glenn. Just real quick.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jack, 4 things though. Everybody out there with a mom or dad, all you got to do every day is tell them 4 things. Tell them you're happy, you're healthy, you love them, and you appreciate them. Every day they add value to your life. Remind them every day of those 4 things. And a lot of the requests to prove those 4 things to you will dissipate and dissolve, and you'll heal a lot of the interference in your relationship. All right, everyone, this is David Meltzer. This was the Perfect Pitch Training Day, 2-minute drill on Bloomberg and Apple TV, soon to be Breakfast of Champions on there as well. Apply to win $50,000 of cash or prizes. Email me for the guides, david@dmeltzer.com. Watch the show. Bless you all. Remember 2 things. Be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Jake, close out the room 3 minutes late.
Thank you, Dave. Let's get a quick flash mic. Thank you, everybody, for joining here